Okay.
There you go.
Okay, it's going now.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so we have the data page, and it asked us, I don't know why that's there. That doesn't need to be there. Goodbye. Bye. Okay, so we have the data page, and it asked us to calculate everything. So I did all those calculations. Then it said, thought I understood the video pretty good. Like it said, like make at the bottom to put for totals for the entire project of what the forecasts were, and then what the totals were. So I did that. And then over here, the pie chart was the last thing, was pretty easy. Here's the table that asks if it was positive, which means that you spent more, put it in red. And if it's negative, which means you spent less than you should have, put it in green. The only problem I had with it is the zeros didn't come up. I even changed the rule to 0 equal whatever the equal to or greater than 0 or less than 0, and it doesn't work. And I can't even like type zeros in here. So
your conditional formatting doesn't see those dashes. So is it because you're using accounting rather than currency?
Oh yeah, looks like it. Let's change this.
I'm just wondering. I don't know. I'm just wondering if that might be what it is. Because accounting is
different.
Currency. There we go. But it doesn't add it didn't add the formatting to this.
So go to your conditional formatting. See what you're.
See? Oh, it doesn't have it in there now. What?
You can just edit the rule, right?
Less than.
There's a less than or equal to. There you go.
Woo! Well, that fixes that. And then the other big problem that I had was this line chart. I just had no idea what to do. So I have all of the series lines.
Zoom in.
Make it bigger.
Yeah, zoom in on your sheet. There you go.
Okay. So essentially what I did was I have all of the expenses. I believe it's all of these information right here. So the totals of them throughout the months. But then it asked to like include the other things and include those in bars and stuff. So that's where I got lost, was on this table. I don't know if you guys have your tables done and you could just show me what you did. That way you're not explaining what I should change. But yeah.
Did you get yours done?
I apologize. I do not. I just actually finished the assignment 18. I would say let's go look at your chart and let's try to edit it. Probably be good.
I've got mine here too. If you want to look at it.
Yes. Show us yours.
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look at yours.
Yeah, because I don't have mine done yet.
I can't believe I have my mini projects done. I did them on. Well, I don't have them completed, but I tried. I did them on Monday.
Cool. Okay, that looks nice.
Okay,
That's
so
pretty similar to what I have.
Here's what I did on mine is I just on this data page I added a difference column for each one.
I did that originally, but then when I put them into the into that line sheet, it would come across as difference, and I didn't know what they were labeled as. So I went back and I labeled them all as the correct thing.
And then what I did here is I put a year total at the end here. So here's the year totals.
Okay.
And then down at the bottom, I did an actual forecast and difference for the total for the whole company.
Okay.
So and then in my R&D expenses, so I've got everything listed out with the totals at the bottom, and then the months across here, and then the year's total over here.
Does it ask for those year totals, like that total R&D and the total at the end of the year? Does it ask for that?
I thought that it did, but it may not. I think that it did.
I think.
So,
I didn't
so
think
create
it
a
did.
table that represents the monthly differences from the first worksheet by projects and in total.
Mm. Okay.
Show the monthly differences for all 5 projects and also included total differences in line at the bottom of the table. So I just put, like I said, everything, the months differences, and then the year total for each one of them, and then the totals at the bottom.
Will it work if I just do like a sum for getting the totals? So I guess continue explaining what you have, and I'll go back and share my screen and show you what my idea is.
So here's what I used. I used an H lookup, so horizontal lookup along with a vertical lookup. And I set a couple of different formulas, named ranges here. So this one is for, oh, look at that. So that's that range that I used for all of that.
Well, just walk us through your formula without showing us that you.
Well, it's going to show you where the data is first, because then so you have a reference of where they go. And then there's a lookup one here.
Oh, got it. So you made a third tab for the lookups.
Yep. So I made a third tab here that has the lookup information right here. And then I also included a column right here that has the total expenses for each one of them, so I can do a lookup there when I get the totals. And then I use this for the, I use that for the pie chart.
So how did you turn the pie chart into percentage there?
So let's go through this one first. So I did an H lookup, so I'm looking for C5, which is the month. And then I'm going over to the company expense lookup. So I'm looking for the month of January. And then from there, I'm going to do a vertical lookup for B6, which is the company name. And then I know which column to look for. So if I go across here.
That is so slick, Brian. So you're telling it to look up January, and then if it sees January, go look up ACE.
Right.
I like it. That is way good. Cool.
Yeah, and so it knows. I use this to say, okay, for ACE, you know that it's the column 5 is the column that it's supposed to use. And then for Blazers, 10, 15. And so these numbers represent the column. Column. Where is that?
The row, rather.
10, yeah, the row.
So you're telling it which difference to go look up.
Yep.
I've never seen that done. H lookup done with the V lookup. That is way slick. Because now that means you didn't in that whole formula there. Otherwise, you would have been copying, pasting. I didn't see the instructions yet. Does it tell you to do a dashboard like this?
No, I just went back and looked at it because I didn't do any of that. I copy and pasted my information.
I did the same thing.
Well, I just,
So just
yeah, so I'm using the
for
V
cool
lookup.
factor though.
Okay. Yeah, it just worked. I just hate typing stuff. I'm lazy.
Yeah, because look, now go change a number, Brian, and it'll change it up here on the front screen.
So if I change one of these numbers.
No, in the data. Now, if you change
Yeah, it should
anything in the
change.
data,
So,
it changes your
okay.
dashboard.
So yeah, so if we look at January, it says $17, right? Or 17 or 7.
7.
So if I change this to 120, changes that to 8. Changes that to 8.
Nice.
And
Mhm.
yeah,
Now, why? I'm just not taking away from the cool factor here. Couldn't you have just said equals C6 on this screen equals the screen over there?
yes,
Equals B9.
yep, you could.
You did it way cooler though.
Yeah. I like it.
And then the totals, down to the totals. What did you have to do with the totals?
With here,
Yeah, it just needs to show on there, but let's look at your chart now because that's what Connor needs help with.
so these are doing the exact same thing for the totals too.
Yeah, let's look at the chart now though. That's the hard part here that he needs help with.
So the chart, I made it so it has 2 axes. So it's got an axis for forecast. Oh, that's not forecast. Forecast and actuals.
Did instructions say to do a double axis?
No, but it says to make sure you label your axis. But I did 2 axes because this one is your forecast and actuals, which represent here. And then your difference axis is over here, so you can actually see where they're falling.
So the difference one falls on the right axis. How do you? I've never had success with double axis. So how did you show? Like, I guess you just changed the. I guess my question. I'm not being coherent. My question is, how did you get the 2 not to overlap?
Trying to remember exactly what I did here.
You just set the range on the right so that it would make sure it always showed below.
So here's plot series on primary axis or secondary axis. So they're trying to remember where else I went to do this.
You told it to give a gap. It says there you told it to give 150% gap width. Go back to that setting.
Yeah. Oh, where did it go? Oh, that's the wrong label.
Yeah, so change that gap width. I'm just curious, if you change that to 0, what happens?
Oh, that's just a gap in between them.
Oh, all right, undo that. So that wasn't it.
No, let me figure out.
I'm curious too, because if you look at the left side of the graph where it's showing that $600, and you look at the right side, it's like 150. Doesn't make sense how that would like line up.
What does?
So on the left-hand side, if you like, let's say you're looking at the first point of the orange graph, it shows that it's $538. But if you're using the right-hand axis, then it shows that it's a $90 difference.
That's why you don't use that. That's why these are labeled.
Yeah,
that's
they only apply to the left axis.
Right. So as you're reading,
is that a $90 difference there?
No, 500 and something.
If you look here, so this axis is the forecast and actuals axis. Sorry, let me fix that. I can't spell worth beans. The forecast, I can't remember. Is there any?
I don't think there is any. I'll check. I'm pretty sure there's not. But Google's our best friend. Forecast, there is no E.
No, there's an E. There's an E.
Yeah, there is an E. That's weird, because it shows me with and without an E.
Okay, yeah, forecast down here too, so that's the way it was already. Yeah, so when you look at these data, these are just linked to the first axis, and these are linked to the second axis, and that's why they're labeled that way.
I see what you're saying now. Okay, so if you didn't have those green ones linked to the right axis, and they would just appear as tiny little nubs.
Brian, go back to that
Correct.
secondary access thing. Click over on the right on secondary access. Click on the second setting that's there. Where to go? Click on secondary.
Well, it doesn't apply it on this one because I've got this highlighted. I have to go down here and highlight this one because that only
the series overlap. You have it at 0%. What if you change that number? I'm just curious what happens. I've never used this.
it doesn't look like it does anything.
You don't have that apply or anything.
Nope.
So one thing that I don't think you can use two accesses for how the instructions want it done. Like if you go back and you look at the videos that we did for assignment 18, they have it like overlapped. So they have like part of it is a solid figure, and then part of it's bars, and then part of it's like the line chart. And I think I could be wrong, but the way that I'm interpreting your graph, which is really awesome, but it takes away from the overlap that I think that they're looking for.
Yeah, but this is not the same as the other one. The other one was showing you a range. This is showing you an actual dollar amount. So the example that we did in our practice was actually setting up what is the range that something would fall into. So what is the high and low? What's the range where things can fall in? So it's a little different than this one.
Okay.
But I mean, you guys can do it however you want. I just found that it's easier to read because otherwise.
Okay, how I did graph, I have each one individual. They want it from the totals. They don't want the individual ones.
For which one?
Say what? So for your orange and yellow line, you only have for the actual and the forecasted for the totals between all 5 projects.
Correct.
They don't want each project individually?
No, I don't think so.
No, it just says totals, Connor.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why mine looks so crappy. That took me a long time to do, too.
Well, and it specifically says the monthly differences should be a column series.
Okay.
I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it as a separate axis, but I just found it much easier to read the chart that way.
Yeah, I think what Connor's saying, and I think I get where he's going. On the practice one that we did, they showed that difference kind of as a floating middle line, and you kind of could have the high and the low. You arguably could make this chart, I haven't done it yet, but you could arguably make this chart just a stacked column chart with showing the high and the low, that range, that basically your column chart could be the whole chart. You see what I'm saying with the high point? I can't see your chart anymore though, Brian. Yeah, so if you were to spread this apart and just have a column between your high and low numbers, between the actual and the forecast, that arguably could be the whole chart. But I'm giving you gold star for cool factor. I'm just curious how you could overlap this. Like if you changed your series from -50 to 170, what if you changed that to -50 to 90? Would it force it to overlap the lines?
For series.
No, click on your right axis, or yeah, your right axis plot points, the -50 to 170.
Yeah, I can't even see what those are doing.
Well, you got to click on them, right, to edit them.
Well, no, I'm moving it. I'm
No,
moving
no,
it.
no, no. Click on the chart itself on the labels over on the right. The
Here?
right label. Yeah,
Oh,
those.
you want to change those?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious. If you were to change those, change that range, because right now it says -50 to 180. Change that maximum one to 90.
Oh, yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, that's what I was asking how you did. Okay, so it is based on what you put on the right.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool that you had it separate. I'm like, how did you do that? All right, change it back. Change it back. It's horrible.
And I made it like this so that you can easily read it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at it and actually say, oh, okay, I can read what those numbers are.
Makes sense.
Where did you pull the line numbers, the actual and the forecast? Where did you pull those from? Because when I just calculated those on my Excel sheet, my numbers are way higher than yours.
So those numbers come from these totals down here.
It's the sum of all the.
Yeah, they're the sum of. So I just did.
So it's the sum going down.
I just added all those together
Mm-hmm.
and then added all those together and then added all the differences together.
So you went down and you like selected each one because you can't just drag it down the way that it's set up. You selected actual, and you did a sum that way.
Yep. I just added them together.
Now, Brian, you could have done a vertical lookup there if actual is found.
Oh yeah, definitely could have.
I'm teasing. That was great work.
Yeah. Just a question, Brian. For the percentage on the pie chart, how did you get that?
So whenever you create the pie chart, it automatically, there's one that gives you the percentages. You don't have to do any calculations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you just calculate the totals. And then when you're going through the pie chart, there's one that it'll say, you have to put the whole table in together, the whole pie chart in at the same time. And then there's one of them that'll just say, hey, this is this % of the total number.
You can also go to the format data labels.
Mm-hmm.
And then right under here, under label options, there's options here of what you want to show. Do you want to show the value?
Okay. Right.
Do you want to show the percentage? Do you want,
okay.
Legend key?
Got it.
There's a number of things that you can do there.
Okay, sounds good. Looks awesome.
Yeah.
All right, it's a wrap. Let's work on it and get back in an hour.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys in a bit.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.